All right, thanks for tuning in, my friends. Welcome to the B&K Sports Talk Show. We're going to get the show started today with big news in college football, probably the top story in sports right now. The allegations with Cam Newton and Auburn and the money transferring whenever Auburn brought Cam Newton in. How does this affect Cam Newton's Heisman chances?
The question will be, I think the Reggie Bush effect is going to take advantage. Will people look at this? But I think this year, right now, because nothing's been proved, Cam Newton probably will win the Heisman again, or should I say he'll win it. And then a couple years from now, when they find out the findings that this happened, because this is he's got the money allegations, the cheating down in Florida. There's more than one story to this kid, and that concerns me. So if I was a voter, I'd have to look, and one of these two I think got to be true, or maybe all these are true. But what will happen is Cam Newton will go to the NFL. He'll make it. He'll make money. And then these sanctions will find out, and these kids, they'll take the season away, and maybe Cam Newton will have to give back his Heisman just like Reggie Bush, and then somebody else is suffering the consequences, unlike Cam Newton should be. Is this gonna hurt his draft stock with all these going on, or is he gonna still say the same draft?
In my opinion, it might hurt his draft stock a little bit. A couple teams might pass on him due to the allegations, but in my opinion, Cam Newton is still a good athlete. He's a good football player. The same things happened with Reggie Bush in USC. He got drafted into the Saints. When he's been healthy, he's been a good football player. He hasn't been a problem on the field or off the field. He's been a positive note since the day he got drafted down there in New Orleans. I think Cam Newton can bring the same thing to the table. I think a team's going to go out on a limb, take a chance, and draft Cam Newton early. I don't think he's going to fall deep in the draft.
The only problem with Cam Newton, this is his only real body season of work playing in the SEC. It's been a good body of work, and you still have the character issues, so you still got to wonder. He makes a lot of plays with his legs, so you got to wonder, what team will take a chance on him. Obviously, some team took a chance on Tim Tebow in the first round, so I think Cam Newton's probably a better quality starting quarterback in the NFL right now than Tim Tebow was. So I think some team will take a chance on him. I think he's a late first rounder. I think some teams will pass on him due to the fact of his body only having one season of body work, and as well some of the character issues that he has. But I think he'll be a late first rounder, early second rounder, and this year's draft.
All right, and moving on to the NFL. There's been a lot of talk this week about the Vikings players and some comments that they've made about their head coach Brad Childress. How does this affect the Vikings for the rest of the year?
It affects them pretty well. The locker room's obviously fine. You got 6 guys saying they hate Brad Childress. They hate playing for him. They don't want to play for him. So this locker room's divided. You got maybe some guys that do like playing for Brad Childress, and you got some guys that absolutely said they hate playing for Brad Childress, and they're only going to play for them and their teammates and try to make this thing better. And the question is, I think it honestly starts with Brett Favre. I think him and Brett Favre have always had a beef and a rift there since day 1 or 2, since maybe game 1 of last year as well. And I think it's carried on to this season, and guys are catching on. But I read a report that Brad Childress once said, he said, I'm not going to get too many jobs as a head coach, so this job I'm going to do it my way, and nobody's going to affect me. And apparently he's doing it his way, but his way isn't working. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the thing about the head coaching job in the NFL. You got to do your job the way that you think it needs to be done. You can't just listen to all the players all the time. A couple days ago, I did say on a previous show that I thought Brad Childress was the guy for the rest of the year in Minnesota. But right now, if I'm Ziggy Wilf, he's got to be considering some other options. The Minnesota Vikings are a good football team still. They got a lot of good talent. I don't think that they can catch the Green Bay Packers in the division, but I do think that they can make a push for a wild card spot if they get things going. But right now, when you got your players going on record saying that they hate Brad Childress and that they are winning football games, Brad Childress is not winning football games. As an owner, Ziggy Wilf, you got to do something. You got to start exploring some options and try to salvage out this season that had Super Bowl hopes when it started.
Switching up to a little baseball, the Yankees, Brian Cashman went down to Arkansas and visited with Cliff Lee yesterday. Are the Yankees going to be able to sign Cliff Lee, and should other teams in the baseball be worried?
The Yankees can pretty much sign anybody they want to. We've learned that from the past. When the Yankees have their eye on a guy, they usually get him. The only time that they don't is if the player just has a different team that he would rather play for. But the Yankees have the money on the table. The Yankees have the history, the organization. The Yankees are a winning ball club, and if I'm another team in the American League or even in MLB period, I'm a little concerned because the Yankees, they can usually get their guy.
Well, he didn't bring his truckload of money yesterday. I think eventually in the next week or two he will bring that big truckload of money and he say, "Here, Cliff, this is what we have." There's incentive for Cliff Lee to go to the Yankees. Number one, they're going to be a contender. They're always a contender. His buddy CC Sabathia, who he played with in Cleveland, are good friends. Their wives are good friends. So there's some familiarity there. And like you said, if you can't beat them, join them. Cliff Lee's beat the Yankees the last 2 years, so it looks like the Yankees are trying to get him to join them. And the Yankees get their guy 90% of the time, and the only question will be, will Cliff Lee be able to turn down this money and go someplace else? There's talk that he may turn down the money and sign a 2-year deal with another team for, maybe the Rangers, because I know he likes playing in Texas, for less money, and then opt to go to free agency in about 2 more years and take the money, or maybe he'll sign a big, long contract with a lot of money and be a Yankee for the rest of his career.
And moving on, in the NBA last night, the Wizards topped the Rockets, but other news, Yao Ming gets hurt, another knee injury, and John Wall gets his first triple-double, which is the bigger story.
Neither one's really the bigger story to me. I think both these things I thought would happen eventually through the year. The only little surprise is John Wall did it so early, but the Rockets really aren't that good. So it was a nice little triple-double for him. And some good company. I've seen a stat that there's only a couple guys, Magic Johnson and Oscar Robinson, did it in fewer games than him. So it's good company for John Wall. The guy's obviously got talent and can become triple-double. Put out a couple triple-doubles. But Yao Ming, obviously he's hurt almost every year. Contemplated retirement before this season. Said if he's can't stay healthy, he'll be retiring at the end of this year. It looks like that's the way the Rockets are going to have to prepare themselves for Yao Ming's retirement. Some of these big guys, they just can't. It takes a lot of motive and up and down to get up down that court. And some of these big guys, they can't do it, like Bill Walton, Greg Oden, and obviously Yao Ming. All three of those guys, injury-riddled careers. What's your bigger surprise to you?
The bigger surprise would be John Wall's triple-double. He's a rookie. Like you said, there's only been a couple guys get a triple-double quicker than John Wall did it. We knew he had the talent to do it. We know what kind of guy he is. I think he's a good fit in Washington. I think he's going to make that smooth transition and pretty much fill the role in for Gilbert Arenas. I think Gilbert is on his way out. Yao Ming getting another injury is not a big surprise to me. The Rockets, before the year even started, they said that they would only play Yao possibly every other game to try to keep him healthy. They know what kind of shape he's in. Obviously, if they're going to say that at the beginning of the year, it's not a big surprise that Yao Ming falls. But John Wall getting a triple-double, I think that's a bigger story in the NBA right now. Then also moving on in the NBA, possibly the biggest surprise of the week, the Utah Jazz and their 3 comeback wins. They did it at home against the Clippers, then they went to Florida. They came back, beat the Miami Heat, and then they also came back and beat the Orlando Magic. What does this mean for the Utah Jazz?
It means it's a nice little 3-game winning streak early in the season. But, when you win these tough games, come from behind games, all 3 of them, they come from behind. They come from behind against the Heat from 20 points. They seem to have a nice team together. I think a lot of people thought with Boozer gone that they would struggle a little bit. But they have Darren Williams, one of the top 5 best point guards in the league. Millsap seems to have taken the place of Carlos Boozer along with Al Jefferson, those 2 down low, along with Karolinko on the side there. They got a nice little team going. Jerry Sloan's been doing this a long time, so he knows how to coach guys up, and so they know what they're doing down in Utah. And it's just too early to tell. It's 3 games into the season, so we'll find out. It's just a nice little 3-game winning streak. Talk to me at the end of the season, and then we'll see how Utah is.
Yeah, it is early in the year to start making any rash decisions in the NBA. We know the Lakers are good. Other than that, it's still too early to tell, like you said. But the Utah Jazz, they do have one of the top coaches in the league, in Jerry Sloan. He's been doing it a long time, and he's been successful for a long time. And like you said, Darren Williams, great point guard, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in the league. When they lost Carlos Boozer, like you said, they filled that void down low with Al Jefferson. Millsap's been tearing it up. These kind of games, these come from behind wins late in the third and in the fourth quarter. They build character for your team. They help your guys get together. But like you said, it's still a little too early to tell. I do think the Utah Jazz will be one of the better teams in the Western Conference. But right now the NBA is a pretty competitive league. Both conferences are pretty good. And like you said, it's too early to tell right now.
Craig, the Dolphins benched Chad Henne for Chad Pennington? Is this going to save their season, or is this a good move? What do you?
I think it's a good move by the Dolphins. I don't necessarily know that it's going to save their season. Uh, Chad Henne, he's thrown 5 interceptions in the last 3 games. The Dolphins have lost a couple in a row. And right now in that division, you got the Patriots. You're looking up at the Patriots. You're looking up at the Jets. And I think it's time that Miami needed to make this move. They don't want to fall back another game or two behind the Jets or the Patriots, teams that aren't going to lose a lot of games. They want to stay in the hunt in this division. And I think Chad Pennington is a guy that can win some football games for him.
I totally agree with you. Chad Pennington, every place he's gone, he's won. Won in New York 2 years ago. He helped his team turn around from worst to first and win the AFC East. The only difference is that they're not going to be able to stretch the field. Chad Henne can throw it a little bit deeper to Brandon Marshall. I think they're going to get a little bit more back into the running game, a little bit more back into that wildcat, which worked so good for them 2 years ago. Chad Pennington's a good leader, and maybe the Chad Henne, I think he'll eventually start again. He's a good football player, but right now Chad Pennington's the way to go. And this guy led him to a division 2 years ago, and it's time. Like you said, it's time to make a move when you're sitting at 500 and you're in the division with the Dolphins or the Patriots and the Jets.
And sticking with the NFL, Thursday Night Football kicks off tonight. Little who you got before we end our show. Baltimore Ravens at Atlanta Falcons. Who you got?
I like the Baltimore. The Falcons are usually pretty tough at home, but I think with Ed Reed back at the Ravens defense and Ray Lewis, they play a pretty good defense. And like you said earlier this week, Joe Flacco's turned into one of the better quarterbacks. I like this matchup. 2 young guys that were drafted 2 years ago in the same draft class, Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan, duking it out against one another to see who's kind of more improved. I think Flacco's team will come out on top with the Ravens.
I'm gonna take the Baltimore Ravens as well. Earlier in the week in our NFL breakdown mid-season show, I said the Baltimore Ravens were the best team in the AFC, and I think they can hang with any team in the NFL. The Falcons have only lost 1 game that Matt Ryan has started at home since he's been drafted, but I think this will be the second loss. I think the Baltimore Ravens are too tough on defense, and they've got weapons on offense. And like I said earlier, Flacco is turning into one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He's got Anquan Bolden now, too, as a top receiver who fits into that system perfectly. And I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to win the football game tonight.
I like, here's a big matchup of the night, NBA-wise. The Boston Celtics going to the Miami Heat. Who you like?
You know what? I think the Boston Celtics are a better team than the Miami Heat. But I think right now, as early in the season as it is, this is as close to a must-win game for the Miami Heat as they've had. They don't want to drop down to 5-4 and lose the first 2 games to the Boston Celtics, who may be their top competition in the East this year. I think it's a must-win game. They've got players. They've got LeBron James. They've got Dwayne Wade, guys that can hit the clutch shots, that can do things to win ball games. And I think tonight it's going to be a close game. I think Miami wins it.
Earlier I thought about the Heat, but then I'm going to take the Celtics right now, even though it looks like Jermaine O'Neal's going to be out. Shaq's a little banged up, but one thing that the Heat seem to be suspect to is good point guard play. And right now, Rajon Rondo, man, I told you every time I watch this guy play, I like his game more and more. He gets after it. He's a good defender. He can pass the ball well. If he can just knock down a couple open jumpers, I think the Celtics will win tonight just based off of Rajon Rondo. I think he has a double-double, and the Celtics will win this one in a close one.
And one more NBA game tonight. The undefeated LA Lakers are going to Denver to play the Nuggets. Who you got in this one?
I like the Lakers. The Nuggets just don't play very good defense. I think Kobe Bryant and the crew will take advantage of that. I like the Lakers to stay undefeated.
I agree with you. I said earlier in the week I think the Lakers will stay undefeated longer than the Hornets. The Hornets won last night, so I got to take the Lakers tonight. They just look like the best team in the NBA right now, hands down, and I don't think the Nuggets can top them.
All right, thanks for tuning in for B&K Sports Talk. And make sure you look us up on Facebook, B&K Sports Talk, or email us at bnksportstalk@hotmail.com.
Thanks for joining, sports fans. Check us out.